What's up, Internet? This is Rambling Josh, and you're watching another episode of us play Pokemon Red. Today we take on the Water Gym peoples. The gym in Vermilion City is where we're at, obviously. The interesting thing about the gym here is that, I guess kind of like the gym in Pewter City, the trainers, the junior trainers under the leader, none of them actually use Pokemon that use attacks of the appropriate element. So, I guess no one in the Rock Gym used Rock-type attacks, but the junior trainer under Brock, he didn't use even Rock types. Just as an interesting note, if you want to, you could come around and challenge this trainer from over here. Just kind of interesting. Anyways, what I was saying is that none of the trainers in this gym, aside from the gym leader herself, will actually use attacks that are water type. So that's just not something you really have to worry about. So, hooray! I know Horsey can learn Bubble, but I'm pretty sure that Horsey at level 16 only knows Tackle. Shelters tend to have a lot of HP, so, well, is it HP or defense, or is it both? Something like that. But anyways, down he goes. That can't be! I don't even know what that's supposed to be from. I should know, but I can't remember. I'm very annoyed at that. Well, whatever the case may be, just healing up our Charmeleon real quick. Heading on over to the gym. And as always, it's just a good idea to save before challenging a gym leader, because you never know. Oh really? My approaches apparently use nothing but Charmeleon. That's actually just not true. I mean, the water Pokemon part is, but her Pokemon are more built around defense. So, first up is Staryu, who should not be a problem at all. And after that is Starmie, who's a little bit of a different story. Starmie has a ton of HP, so there's a decent chance that it's going to prove a little bit of a challenge for us. Plus it can do that, which is also bad. But at the moment, we're pretty much on even terms. Misty also has the ability to use an X Defend on her Starmie, which will make things a little bit tougher to kill her, but in the end, we are victorious. But as you can see, it was obviously very close. The key is Mega Punch. Without Mega Punch, this is basically impossible. Good thing I know Cut. TM11. TM11 contains Bubble Beam, which is a very powerful water-type attack. Now, just in case you're confused, one of the things that Misty mentioned was that Pokemon up to level 30 will obey. And that's a little bit of a confusing way of explaining it. In general, Pokemon will obey you no matter what, as long as you catch them. Now, if you're trading with someone, then Pokemon only up to a certain level will obey you. So if a Pokemon came from someone else, or more specifically, if we look at a Pokemon, and at the bottom it has OT, that's Original Trainer. If that Original Trainer is you, then the Pokemon will listen to you. But if it comes from someone else, then it will only listen to you if you have up to a certain badge. So when she says that Pokemon up to level 30 will obey, that means that I can give orders to Pokemon from other trainers that are up to level 30. Now, otherwise, Pokemon, like... Okay, well, before I explain that, I need to point out that this area here, just up to the north of the Nugget Bridge, I forgot to mention the last time I was here, but if you're playing Pokemon Yellow, there will be an old man here, at least I believe it's an old man, with a Charmander. And if your Pikachu is happy, he will give said Charmander to you. I just felt I needed to point that out, because I forgot to. Anyways, so if you're trying to control a Pokemon that was traded to you that's above the level that you can command, so to speak, sometimes that Pokemon will listen to you. But basically, all that Pokemon will do is just use a random one of its attacks. So, yeah. Anyways. We can go back here now. And one last thing to note, actually, on the matter. It says OT Red, and you might think that if you had two trainers with the same name trade Pokemon to each other, that you would be able to, like, trick the system. But it actually doesn't work like that. They punched a hole in the back wall. So there's actually, each trainer ID actually has like a hidden ID number. At least I'm pretty sure. So even if you trade a Pokemon from a trainer with the same name, then if the ID numbers won't match up, the game will know that it was traded from another trainer. Now, it is possible, but extremely unlikely for two trainers to have the same name and the same trainer ID. But like I said, it's extremely unlikely, and I'm pretty sure there's no way to force that to happen, so... bad luck. And there's this rocket here. No, unfortunately I do not. So we're gonna take him on. Rocket wants to fight! It is pretty ridiculous having such a high-level Pokemon at this point in the game. It's also ridiculous that I didn't kill you in one shot. But that's okay. We can make up for that mistake. Yay! We're actually getting pretty close to the point where Charmeleon is going to be able to evolve, but that's probably not going to be coming for quite a while yet. Stop! I give up! And for defeating him, we get TM28. TM28 is Dig, which is a powerful ground-type attack. But anyways, I'm pretty sure we can't go over this way yet. But that's okay, because we want to come down here anyways. Now, the only thing interesting about this area is, if we come down here and jump down the rocks, there's some tall grass, and that's a pretty good place to encounter Abras, if you're interested in that. But there's this building here, the Pokemon Daycare. If you talk to this dude, you can leave a Pokemon with him, and what that'll do is that every time you take a step, that Pokemon that you leave with him will gain experience. So that can be pretty handy, especially if you're trying to level up something like an Abra, where you don't want to actually have them in combat because they're bad at it. We can't come down this way because the guards are thirsty. But anyways, back on the topic of the daycare, there's a couple problems with it. The first is that it's kind of unpredictable when your Pokemon is leveling up and such. And so that leads to two problems I can think of off the top of my head. The first is that if you want your Pokemon just to evolve, like say as an Abra going up to a Kadabra, if you end up overshooting your level and your Abra ends up being level 20 when you get back instead of level 16, that's 4 levels that you're not getting the extra stat boost from being a Kadabra. And that can be pretty annoying, especially for Pokemon whose stat boost or stat growth goes up a lot when they evolve. That can be a big deal. The other thing is that when you're learning abilities, it's just kind of willy-nilly which abilities it overwrites. It'll always try and learn new abilities, and I don't know how it works, which ability it will overwrite, but because you're not telling it yourself which abilities you want it to learn and which ones you want it to forget, that can be a big problem, actually. So in general, I try and stay away from the daycare. It can be useful if you use it right, but it's just not worth it to me. Well, no, sorry. But at any rate, it just doesn't really make much sense given the way I'm playing the game anyways, so yeah. Now this is a bike tunnel, or an underground tunnel. I guess it's not a bike tunnel, but yeah. And usually these places have some sort of like hidden item in them somewhere, which I may or may not end up finding. I don't know why I walked all the way this way. I guess I was just vainly hoping to find a hidden item there, but no dice. Okay. And this brings us out over here, which is... Well, actually, let's take a look at the map to demonstrate what exactly just happened. So, just as a quick geography lesson, here's Pallet Town, this is where we started. Vermillion City. The Route 22 here is the route that we just took a quick look down when we were facing the rival for that, like, semi-secret battle. Vermillion City, Vermilion Forest. We haven't been to the Diglett's Cave yet, but that's the side route. You may recall there were some items we couldn't reach yet. Pewter City, Mount Moon, Cerulean City, that's where we just were. That's the path up to Bill's place, the Sea Cottage. Route 5 is where we just were, and now we're at Route 6. In the middle there is Saffron City. But we couldn't get in there because the guard was blocking the way. So instead we took the underground tunnel, and that came out down here. We just kind of went underneath the city. So that's where we are now. And there's a whole bunch of trainers in this area, but I'm going to try and just walk past as many of them as I can. I am going to fight them, just not yet. And you will see why shortly. I do have to fight this lady, though. Who... Level 6 Pokemon. Such a trifling matter. I don't know, that's not quite what I wanted to say, but that's what came out. Another Pidgey? Oh my! Sadly, this Pidgey will not be any more successful than the last one. Another Pidgey? Oh my! Sadly, this Pidgey will not be any more successful than the last one. And that was the end of that. A mere 187 experience for those things. It's kind of pathetic, really. No. You walked over here. I'm trying to avoid people right now. And some more level 16 birds. I thought this guy only had 2 Pokemon. I'm not sure why they would be level 16. if that's the case. Usually, if you have fewer Pokemon, then you have their higher levels. Oh, that's why. Because there's Eradicate here. Okay. And down he goes. Yay! Yes, you did! You walked over here and talked to me. This is all your fault. Anyways, here we are now in Vermilion City. Now there is the Pokemon Gym down here, and that's where we want to go, but we can't do that quite yet. Don't think I want to go there. Now, this is actually an interesting trade. Spearows are a lot more rare than Farfetch'd. Or no, Farfetch'd are a lot more rare than Spearows, but Spearows tend to be stronger. Long term anyways. Oh really? Sure, why not? Rapidash, huh? That's quite the tale. That seems like a really bad idea, actually. A Rapidash has like a giant flaming mane of fire. Yes, a flaming mane of fire. But for listening to the fellow's tale, we get a bike voucher. So, that is going to come in handy. Of course, the bike shop is back in Vermilion City, but whatever. What's in here? Hello? Oh, that's not much of anything. Okay. Now, if you're playing Pokemon Yellow, around here somewhere, there should be a lady trainer with a Squirtle. Obviously, she is not it, because this is not Pokemon Yellow. But if you defeat the gym leader over here in Vermilion City, and your Pikachu is in good condition, or has happiness, and you talk to the lady trainer in the middle of the town, she will give you her Squirtle. So yeah. No, I did not. Here we go. The Fishing Guru. I do like to fish. That's actually not true, but I'll tell him I do. And he gives us the old rod. Now, fishing in Pokemon is kind of strange. There are 3 different types of rods. There's the old rod, which is really bad. And then there's the good rod and the super rod. Different rods have the ability to catch different Pokemon. And when I say catch, it's more you fish them up, and then you fight them. So, the old rod can only fish up Magikarps. And, I mean, Magikarps are just kind of really bad. The only ability Magikarps know is Splash, and Splash does literally nothing. So why am I trying to catch one? Well, we will see soon enough. Although I may have to buy more Pokeballs. Damnation. Okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to kill you then. So, the only thing the old rod can fish up is Magikarp. If I had a good rod or a super rod, which I do not at this moment, then I could catch a better Pokemon. And, like, not necessarily higher level, I don't think, but Pokemon that aren't Magikarp. But I don't really care about anything that isn't Magikarp right now, because I actually want a Magikarp. So, old rod. I should really put those Pokeballs to the top of my inventory. I am going to need them. And another level 5 Magikarp. I wasn't expecting that. Okay, go Pokeball. Unfortunately, I don't really have a way of... Actually, now that I think about it, I do have a way of reducing its health. I have these dudes. They might actually come in handy. Magikarps are usually pretty easy to capture anyways, just because they're really weak and common, and they tend to have a high capture rate. But that doesn't mean that I can't reduce its health to increase my chance of catching it. Although I guess I kind of don't really want it to be poisoned, because that means if I do fail, then yeah, I'm just gonna try catching it now. Usually under about 50% health is a decent place to start. That was really close. I don't really care about wasting Pokeballs so much as time here, so yeah. Yay, Magikarp! Okay. No, I do not. And now I'm gonna go to the Pokemon Center real quick to heal it back up. Or more accurately, get rid of its poison. Because I don't want that to happen. Magikarp must not have any health if it fainted that quickly from the poison and words. Okay. Now while I'm here, I am going to deposit Weedle and Rattata. And what I want to do is I actually want to put Magikarp in front of my Charmeleon. Whatever Pokemon you have at the top is the one that comes out first in battle. Now, the reason I want to put Magikarp first is just, well, for that reason, because I want him to come out first in battle. So what we have to do now, story-wise, is come down this way. This leads to the SSN, but I don't want to do that quite yet. Instead, I want to come over this way, because I've got a couple more Pokemon that I want to catch. There's also some trainers over here. I suppose I could mess with them, but I should probably wait. I want to build up my crew of Pokemon, and then take on the trainers. So here we have an a level 11 Drowsy. I want to catch this guy. But, well, let's use Ember. I don't want to kill it, but I do want to try and weaken it up. Ah, that worked perfectly. Scratch probably would have killed it, but Ember works well because Charmeleon's special is lower than his attack, and Drowsy, as a Psychic type Pokemon, has high special. So that means that I did a little bit less damage, and I was able to not kill him. So Drowsy is my alternative to Abra. And it's kind of a bit of an odd trade-off, honestly, because Drowsy is a lot weaker, and long-term it'll never be as strong as Abra is, or Kadabra, or Alakazam, or whatever. But he comes with his own benefits, namely he's got way more health. Anyways, this is the Diglett Cave. And this is just an underground tunnel that leads all the way back to Vermillion City. And I'm here because I want to catch a Diglett. So let's see if I can weaken one up. And now the main reason that I saved before coming down here is because this place can actually be very dangerous. Mostly you'll only fight Diglett in this cave, but okay, well apparently I can't weaken up a level 16 with Scratch. I'll try Ember. But occasionally down here you will also fight level 30 something Dug Trios. And those guys are ridiculously strong. So, want to stay away from those. Or, at the very least, be very careful about them. Which is, like I said, the reason for the save. Okay, well, this guy used Growl on me, and he's level 19, so let's try Scratch on him. That's pretty good. And he went underground. Wonderful. That is what Dig does. Before you attack, you have to go underground. Oh, shoot. Ground attacks are super effective against fire types. Okay, anyways. Let's hope this works. You may recall that the other day I was talking about how I want a ground type or whatever. I was talking a lot about Geodude. Diglett is basically my replacement. And in all honesty, it's not a very good replacement because Digletts are not very good. They're very fast, but that doesn't really count for much. But aside from that, their attack is not super high and their HP and defense are really low, which can be problematic. My ideal situation would be in that same area where we caught the Drowsy. If you're playing Pokemon Blue or Yellow, you would be able to catch a Sandshrew there. That would be my ideal option, but because I'm not playing either of those games, I can't get a Sandshrew. So Diglett is just kind of the next best thing, or rather the only other thing, at least that I can get in the early stages of the game. There are better alternatives, but for all of them I would have to wait until much later, and I don't want to do that. So now, I should explain why I have Magikarp coming out first. It's kind of odd, right? It means that switching to Charmeleon means I'm going to be taking damage. And basically, now that I have these three Pokemon, Magikarp, Drowsy, and Diglett, the job now is to level them up. So, when you switch out Pokemon in the middle of a fight, or rather in the middle of killing a single Pokemon, the experience for killing that Pokemon is split between everyone who is active. So by having Magikarp out first, that means that Magikarp gets in on that experience without actually having to do anything. And the reason I'm doing that is because Magikarp is kind of like Abra, in that in the early days it's extremely weak and pretty much useless. Well, yeah, I mean basically literally useless. Like technically I guess you could use Splash to the point where your PP is completely exhausted and then you struggle. But Magikarp's stats are so low that it wouldn't do anything. So yeah. But at level 20, Magikarp will evolve into a Gyarados, which is very strong. I'm actually not sure why I came back to the Pokemon Center. That's not what I was coming here for. So anyways, I'm trying to level up my Magikarp to level 20. And I also now have these other dudes to level up. So, that is basically why I was waiting to fight those trainers, because now that I have these other guys that I want to level up, I can give them some experience instead of just piling it all on Charmeleon. And I decided to just come back to Vermillion City to exchange my bike voucher, because the bicycle is very important. I actually don't need any more Pokeballs. Well, I am going to have one thing that I want to use them for, but that's not quite yet. So I'm just going to put my bike on the top of the item list, because it's very useful, because we can move around this quickly now, basically anytime we're outside. So that's pretty handy. And I'm very thankful for the bike voucher. So, come along down here, and we're just going to head back over to Vermilion City. Or rather, the outskirts. And we can even use the bike in the underground tunnel. Yay! So here we are, and we're going to face all the trainers up here to the north of Vermilion, and as well as over to the east of Vermilion City on the next episode of Let's Play Pokemon Red. Catch you later.